Just nothing but that's all she ever wants. I know. I want to enjoy a miniseries with her. You know?
But no, all she wants is you know what.
Just So, okay, remember everybody, like, share, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell. And please, for the love of God, go on IamMutant.com and use our discount codes, BigRon20 and Dusty20.
Right? That was a strong statement. That was a strong ask. Yeah, I feel it.
It's as if we're just fucking holding on for dear life, hoping they'll do it. I liked it.
I just wanted to see if there's an impact. Well, I'm going to watch the numbers when this episode comes out and just see if there's an impact.
They'll skyrocket. You know? Absolutely. You know? I'm actually typing on there right now. I'm ordering something.
I got to order some all-in. I have to try that because I can't go back to the pre-workout I used before. So it's
that's not a good thing. We don't want you being sick again.
No, God, no.
Right.
Especially on the episode. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was unprofessional.
I wasn't mad. I was just disappointed.
I was worried about you. I didn't want you to have a jammer on the podcast.
What's a jammer?
A heart attack.
Oh, I never heard that term before.
A jammer.
Yeah, oh, really? That's so good.
Oh, yeah, a jammer. Is that new? Dusty, you've heard that, right? That's not new to you.
It sounds old.
Canadian thing?
It must be Canadian.
Never heard that? A jammer. Really?
A jammer.
What happened to Dave?
I mean,
Dave had a jammer.
I want to know. I want everyone to comment on this episode if they've ever heard of a jammer and what country you're from. And where you're from.
And I sort of feel like a jammer, just from the context that I hear it.
Yeah,
it's a heart attack that you survived. Like people don't use it. Like if somebody died, they don't say, "I had a jammer." They say, "Oh, he died of a heart attack." You know,
so
but if you had like a
positive thing,
you made it.
No, it's the heart. No, it's when you have to call an ambulance and they come and get you and you live, but you get the lecture and you have to stop eating burritos and you had a jammer. Yeah. You had to start doing some cardio, Dave. Time for Dave to do some cardio. Yeah. Okay.
That's good.
Well, that's a good audience question. I'm curious. Is that Canadian? I don't know. Or is it just me?
I never heard of it. I like that though.
Okay.
And it makes total sense.
Yeah. And you almost just got to picture the guy like,
you come out with a couple things every once in a while, Ron, that I know are Canadian. Like on the last episode, you're like, I take my nap and then Braden knocks on the door and then I just get up and I walk out in that loud music and I give her. The giver. It's a Canadian. So Canadian.
It's a giver.
Giver. That's funny because I've had people, I guess they're Americans. I've heard them say just give her, and they're like,
what?
Give her, and I'm like, yeah, just give her. Like, what do you mean? Like, give her, like go hard, give her.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. It's so funny. Have you guys seen Fubar?
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
You've seen Fubar, Dusty?
Yes.
It's a legendary Canadian movie, but it was pretty popular and it got a lot of views. A lot of Americans saw it. But it was a mockumentary. It was a fake documentary made by these two guys from Calgary. And the whole premise is that they're 80s metalheads, but the year's like 2005, right? And this reality movie crew is following them around because they're going to start a band. I can't quite remember how it all goes, but so it's a fake documentary, but most of the people in the movie don't realize it's a fake documentary.
Okay.
Right? So they think they're dealing with two actual guys that are stuck in the 80s that live and look like metalheads and have like mullets and they talk like, yeah, man, fucking give her, dude. Fucking it. Like they're really, really, and very Canadian, and it's hilarious. But Fubar is a great mockumentary movie that I recommend to everybody. It's a very Canadian staple.
I've never heard the term mockumentary, but it's phenomenal. I don't know if you created that, Ron, but I'm giving you credit for it, whether you did or not. No, you get credit.
So Spinal Tap is like the original mockumentary when people think of like, fake documentaries where not everybody's in on the joke either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of the people in Spinal Tap, they're not all in on the joke. So
right.
Okay.
Oh, that's a classic.
It's a good time. I like a good one. I was going to ask you guys about something. Do you guys follow Andrew Huberman? He's like really big on Instagram right now. No? Okay.
We go with your story because I know who it is.
Yeah. So this guy here, Huberman, PhD. Andrew Huberman. You guys follow him?
Yep.
He's been on Rogan and everything like that. Anyways.
I've seen some of his quotes recently.
Yeah. So he's very interesting, and he's talking a lot about dopamine.
Yes.
And how it's like, that's like our reward. Dopamine is like a massive reward for our efforts. And he's talking about how there's a whole bunch of stuff. He's got episodes about certain things specifically, but the general thing that I seem to be picking up, and obviously our viewers here, feel free to chime in the comments and recommend episodes of podcasts that he may have been in and that sort of thing. But he's talking about how, and this is a general theme of a lot of his dopamine stuff, we're not wired to be overloaded with dopamine with little effort. So when we do things that reward us with a lot of dopamine that don't require any effort, that's a big part of why we become addicted to things. Right? Because like if you think back before technology, in order for us to get dopamine, we had to like accomplish something.
Or we
had to like
coke.
Or do something, or work, we'd build something, or light a fire, or chop some wood and make other people appreciate us. And, we had to like get our dopamine rewards other ways. And now people can get them so easily with very little effort. And so he said, we have to be really careful that he goes, obviously, we've got to enjoy the finer things in life, and everyone can get their dopamine hits here and there, but we have to be careful that we don't like desensitize ourselves so that we require such massive amounts of dopamine without any work. That's how, that's how people get addicted to things. The guys that fucking watch 12 hours of porn a day and all that sort of shit. It's the dopamine hit, and there's no other thing that can get them that much dopamine that won't require like a whole bunch of work. So that's sort of what is happening in the brain. And same with a lot of drugs and, a lot of other things too. So it's really is interesting to me. And I think about the stuff that we do, with the bodybuilding and the training, there's a lot of hard work involved, obviously, and we talk about the rewards, the dopamine hits we get from, the first time you incline 3 plates for 10 and, all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And looking back with that sort of concept on your mind, like easy dopamine might not be a good thing for us all the time. What do you think?
I feel like it's more, just on the context you just gave, it's more dangerous for young people now than it is for us. And not to say it's not, but because they're not old enough necessarily to have put in the time to feel the dopamine from a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding is a really easy topic for all of the listeners and stuff, but even for us, it's funny when I look back, because I never thought how long it took until I looked backwards, and you're like, because it felt pretty progressive, but when you really get down to where you've actually seen some solid results, you're like, man, I've been pushing weights for X amount of years before anyone thought anything. But I think a lot of younger people, they don't have that, and immediate gratification has become something that people expect almost.
Yeah.
You really do expect that because, we didn't grow up with it. So it's not equal. We understood, if you want something, you got to work long and hard. That was always the thing. Long and hard. You want to do this. And now I think that, now that you bring it up, it makes sense why people are always looking for the faster, easier way to get that dopamine, And I also think it's why so many people are attached to likes and things on their social medias.
Totally is. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got all the We got all the research about how Twitter uses the same things that the slot machines use. You know, when you open your Twitter app, there's a certain delay before your new likes appear. You know, like there's that little delay, and then the badges come up at the bottom, right? You got 5 notifications. So you open your Twitter app, and then there's like that moment where it's like the casino wheel is going, and then bang, your badge comes up, 12 notifications. And it's a massive hit. And we don't realize that we're being completely manipulated by this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's in everything. Like YouTube is huge with that too. And it is constantly dopamine, something that I'm really fascinated with. And being in recovery, I think that I probably have like a greater sensitivity to that, like that quick hit type thing. Because I know that
absolutely
people like me, people who are in my shoes, we tend to look for that. And it can be outside of drugs too, like video games or relationships or anything else. It's something that like, in order to work on that, I had to work on more than just like not using drugs. It was like it was a complete like hard reboot basically. But dopamine is a fascinating thing because at the same time, it's dopamine. There's a book called Dopamine, the Molecule of More. And it's all about how dopamine is what gets us up in the morning. Dopamine is what makes us like try to achieve stuff. If we didn't have like dopamine gives us the drive to hunt and to gather. And without that, you know, the opposite of dopamine is serotonin. Serotonin's like the chemical of contentment. And like when your serotonin's really high, you're just like, you're happy with what you have, versus dopamine's like, no, I need more of that. It feeds on itself, you know? So it's kind of cool the way it works. I would say that anybody who's really high functioning, anybody who's like all three of us, I would say, are probably highly dopamine driven. Like to be able to go out and be successful at things, like people who do really good in business, they're highly dopamine driven. So it can be a bad thing, you know, like in the case of Instagram, Twitter, all of that. But I think it can be harnessed to our benefit as well.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to just be aware of it.
Yeah.
And then map it onto your own behavior. So, you know, like I've listened to a couple of interviews, like, you know, he was on Lex Friedman, this Andrew Huberman guy. He was on Lex Friedman, and he's been on, like I said, Rogan and you know, all he's like a big time podcast guy, like millions of followers. And he's a neuroscientist too. So he studies neurobiology, and, you know, he's a associate professor at Stanford and all that crazy shit. So he's really smart. And you listen to him talk about, you know, like how to kind of like map your own behavior onto your so you can see where you're getting your dopamine and where you're putting your energy into and stuff like that. You know, to kind of step back and think of it, like think of everything you're doing as dopamine seeking behavior, and then go, why am I, that's interesting. I wonder if, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, like yesterday, I like I said, I went for a ride on my bike. I didn't train yesterday, but I went for a ride on my bike and I played a bunch of guitar.
Right. And
so I was like aware of my dopamine like happening yesterday. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, like, you know, and I started thinking, I'm like, man, that must be why it's really tough for addicts to get past that, like overloading of dopamine, because they're so desensitized that it takes a while to get sensitized again. That must be a huge part of it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Right.
And then, you know, you have to put in all this effort to get the dopamine from the you know, the healthier activity, you know, like if to go out and do something for an hour and get sweaty and go for a run and, you know, or whatever you're doing. Right. So, but once you're aware of like, just to have the concept floating around in my brain and being like thoughtfully aware of it is really interesting, because, you know, even like the time spent on my phone, I'm like, you know, I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if this is dopamine seeking behavior or if I really actually have to check my phone right now. And like that little thought runs through my head. Like it ran through my head a few dozen times yesterday. I was like, you know, one time I reached for my phone and I thought, I don't actually need to check my phone.
Yeah.
And I stopped.
Right.
I didn't, I said, yeah, I don't actually need to check it. And I just like, made a little correction there. So just being aware of it, you know, has already technically changed my behavior.
And how did that feel?
I remember.
Because it's not what you wanted to do. to not check your phone.
It felt so. I enjoy when I feel like I have gained knowledge that helps me live more in reality.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like the whole Matrix red pill, blue pill thing. Like I want the red pill. I want to know what is actually happening in the world. I want to know real reality. I don't want any nonsense narrative. So anytime I learn something, even if it makes me like, kind of upset with myself or something, I'm glad that I learned it, because I'm like, there, now I live more in reality. I can adjust my behavior to, that sort of thing. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
Is there a connection, Ron, between the dopamine and the endless need to be entertained, like to be plugged in? Because I get so annoyed, and I'm sure it's the same in Canada, but like at a stoplight, you could tell that as soon as people stop, they get on their phone.
Oh yeah,
and then they're distracted. Then the light goes green, and I'm like, motherfucker, drive. It's a minute and a half. You do not need to get on your phone.
No, it's a habit. Yeah.
Like, is there a connection with that? Like, I mean, they're checking their fucking likes, or they like?
Oh, absolutely.
It blows my mind, the importance of that to me, because I'm like, to me, social media is work. I would not even have it if it wasn't for that, because I just don't enjoy it the way that other people do. So I have to say, like, all right, in the morning, I'm going to get on and I'm going to work, do some things, whatever it may be, answer some whatever, and then I'm done. It's like a responsibility 4 times a day. Outside, like the other day, yesterday actually, I posted the leg press video. So I dropped it real quick in the tanning bed, and it was going up, and I walked away, and 4 hours later, I went on to see, if I had any questions, and it hadn't went up yet. I was like, oh shit, it didn't upload.
Yeah.
So I had to shut my screen down and reopen it for it to even post. I was like, and that's what I mean by the gap. I was like, oh, I hadn't been on here in hours. I don't give a shit. I got stuff to do. Like, I don't know. It's a fascinating thing, specifically now that I ride the bike more, because I watch it, because I'm aware that everyone's on their phone. They're driving down the road, getting their dopamine hit. I'm like, you get a hell of a dopamine hit when you run me over, asshole.
Yeah. He talks about how dopamine is the root of motivation.
Yeah.
So when we start to when we find something that's too easy for too much dopamine, we lose our motivation for other things that are more difficult for dopamine. So that's why addiction slowly eats away. Like, like Steven Tyler famously said about Aerosmith, we were rock and rollers who dabbled in drugs, and then we became drug addicts that dabbled in rock and roll. And that's what happens, is you just switch behaviors, because you're like, well, the dopamine's easier over here and there's more of it.
Yeah.
So you start doing less of your work. You start, let's say you're an athlete and you get hooked on something, whether it be video games or fucking 12 hours of porn a day. You stop becoming as much of an athlete because you're not practicing as much. You're putting it off. You lose motivation for your other things,
Well, so not only that, but like if you, so I learned from Dr. Dean St. Mart out of Ireland. We did a podcast about the science of insomnia, and, like I was saying, that serotonin's at, the yin to the yang of dopamine, that you have to clear dopamine out of your system in order to produce serotonin. So at nighttime, when we're supposed to be clearing that dopamine and building that serotonin converts to melatonin that helps us feel sleepy and restful and stay asleep. If we are on our phones or whatever, and we're constantly getting those dopamine hits right before bed, that's definitely going to interfere. So even if you're like, no, I still do everything I need to for my sport, you could be affecting your rest, or video games. There's another one, if you keep those dopamine, you're supposed to let all that stuff clear 2 hours before bed, but a lot of times we don't today.
For sure.
He's got a bunch of courses. Like, if I want to look deeper into this guy, because like I said, I've seen his podcast and stuff, but he's got a bunch of courses on how to manage and maximize your dopamine response. to maximize your motivation. So
That's cool.
It all boils down to you can make yourself far more productive by manipulating your sensitivity to dopamine. So like the concept of dopamine fasting, where you don't allow yourself any reward for a while. You literally don't do the dopamine rewarding things for a while to make yourself more sensitive to dopamine. And then you reintroduce it, but manage it to drive your motivation higher. It's really interesting concept to me, because you're, manipulating your own brain chemistry to make yourself more productive. And I don't know, it's just cool. I think there's a lot down this path of understanding this stuff, maybe we can, make bigger, better bodybuilders because of dopamine manipulation in the future. Who knows?
Absolutely.
We all worry about all the gear, but what about the brain chemistry? Not everybody's got the best genetics for all that too. So maybe there's something you can unlock motivation wise, but I'd love to hear from people who watch the show who are into this guy and have read the same articles and all that sort of stuff. Okay.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Good topic.
Boom.
There.
That's my contribution. Someone's got to go next.
I like that. Does Dusty?
I'm done.
Dusty, do you have any what was your overrated, underrated? Do you have any of those today?
I didn't build any, but I always have them because it's freaking easy to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, first off, Ron, I have to tell you this sidebar real quick is I started that Watchers show this weekend.
The Watchers. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You said you watched that?
No, but I thought it looked really good. Is it good?
We're 2 episodes deep, and yes, it's a train wreck. It's amazing. So I think there's only 6 episodes in the whole thing right now, but definitely something you should just jump into. If I wasn't old, I could have watched the entire thing last night.
So it's about like a haunted house, right? Isn't it a haunted house or something? Just basically, that's the premise.
The basic of it is you move into this house, and all of a sudden you essentially start getting letters from someone more or less asking you to, pressuring you to leave in different ways, like not just saying leave. Right. And the problem is the people who are in the house are trying to figure out who's doing it and where it's coming from. And the character that's in the house currently who just got it, they start like reaching out to people who've lived in the house before and asking them their experiences.
Okay.
And
Say
what
no
went
more.
down with them. Yeah, train wreck.
Say no more.
It is fantastically a mess. I was like, Ron would be all about this. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to just download the last 4 for the flight. There's some flight time.
It's a good plan. Think ahead.
I was trying to think of, because lately when you fly enough, the options on the flight for movies, you're like, well, fuck, there's 7 hours left. I'll watch this piece of shit because there's nothing else. Like you need some that you brought of your own.
And we're forgetting the last time I flew, I turned off 2 fucking movies.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 fucking movies.
I'm going to pull up because I actually still had some lists, so keep talking.
Okay. Did you finish Dahmer yet, Scott?
So I think we're like 7 episodes in, and we were like, you know what?
Okay.
We're going to stop watching it. That's what we decided. We didn't like the energy. Both of us agreed. We were like, we don't like the energy that it's bringing to us. We both kind of stopped. I was the one who said, I was like, you know what? I don't feel like watching this tonight. She was like, so here's the thing about Victoria. She gets like, if we watch a TV show, it's important to her that we watch the entire thing. And she wants to see it all. Yeah. And we can't like take a break from that and watch an episode of like Pawn Stars. We have to like watch that whole thing through. And I said to her the other night, I was like, I don't like we had like our date day. It was this really good day. And we got these Honeycrisp apples from a farmer's stand, and we're eating the apples, and we turned Dahmer on, and it was just like creepy and shit, We're like, I don't like the energy this is bringing to us right now. And she was like, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be upset if we didn't watch the rest of this. And I was like, okay, we turned it off. That was it. Did you watch the end?
There you go.
We know what happened. I can tell you what happened.
Yeah, you can tell you what happened. Yeah. We're on episode 9, I think. We're on episode 9, so we're almost done.
Okay.
But yeah. It's pretty cool how they wrap it up. They start spending like the last few episodes, they spend each episode kind of focusing on one person. Like
that's where we were at.
Neighbor.
We were at
did you what?
We were at the deaf guy. We were at the deaf guy.
Oh, the deaf guy. Yeah, that was a tough episode.
Yeah, and Victoria was like, I don't want to see this guy die, you know? And so
yeah, that was a tough episode.
So that's where we cut it.
Yeah, so you didn't watch the rest of that one?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, so that's a tough one. And then the next episode is they follow the neighbor. They talk about the neighbor Glenda. They do that whole how many times she called the cops. They show her story of like calling the fucking cops over and over and over and complaining to the landlord about the smell and all the shit that she went through. And her encounter with Dahmer, where he comes into her place one time and sits down and doesn't want to leave. It's a really creepy encounter that she had with him.
Yeah.
And then episode 8 is his dad. They kind of follow his dad and how his dad was like, you know, not seeing the red flags and how his dad blamed himself a lot for shit. And yeah, it was really crazy. And he's like in the courtroom now and everything. Like that's all, you know, he's been sentenced and everything. So we're almost done. But just the next, you know, it's a fucking insane. It's insane how many times that neighbor called the cops on him.
Yeah, that kind of infuriated me when I saw that part. Like, not on the show, but when I learned how far that went, you know, and they turned a blind eye.
Like, lady, you call all the time. Like, what do you want us to tell you? Your neighbor's place stinks.
Yeah.
You know?
Did they go into any depth about her once he was caught or no? Like, as far as how she felt about that, her reaction? I mean, she had to have been a fucking mess after that. You imagine, you're like, it stinks, it stinks. Like, no, those are just dead bodies.
You've been smelling dead bodies for the last year or whatever, 6 months.
No, she's trying to. Well, people forget that, you know, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who loves, you know, he's always not too far from a big story. He showed up for this because of all the young black men and minority men that were murdered, right? So he showed up and he's asking questions, and so he goes to Glenda and listens to her story. And then he's like, I'm going to make sure that everyone hears your story. Like, right. So Glenda's a big part of, you know, what we know now about Dahmer and all the police stuff. Glenda's a huge part of that because she told her story to the world about how she called them and reported them, and they gave that young boy back to him at that time.
Damn.
Like, it's fucking brutal. Like, no, take him, just get him out of here, you know? So, yeah. But, yeah, you're right. It's not a fun series. Like, we don't watch Dahmer and then have sex.
Yeah, we're at the end of date day, got the Honeycrisp apples going. It wasn't setting the mood, you know what I mean?
The only way we can watch Dahmer is if we start date night a little early and do the sex part first.
Get it out of the way. It's a good date day if you ask me.
I like how you guys just turned that, by the way. Get it out, as if it's something you don't want to do. Get it out of the way.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's the best part.
Get that out of the way so we can watch an axe murderer movie.
So we can really get to the fun.
Sex thing out
so we can watch a guy eating dicks.
Oh, my girlfriend always just wants sex from me. Just nothing but that's all she ever wants. I know. I want to enjoy a miniseries with her. You know?
But no, all she wants is, you know what?
Just like, that's it.
That's fantastic.
You know? Yeah, you get it out of the way early, start date night early, and then you can make something to eat and relax and watch an episode of Dahmer, and it's not such a bummer.
It's a good plan. If I get the inkling to finish it, that's what I'll employ that plan, you know. You get a little takeout, you know, get the romance done first part of the day while the sun's up.
You know.
Now come in here, babe. I have the next step.
Yeah, and now we turn on this guy eating dicks.
This guy eating dicks.
There's the title of this episode: "This Guy Eating Dicks." Turn on this guy
show
eating
about
dicks.
this guy eating dicks.
Quote Scott McNally. Do not let the,
Just to
the
be
people
clear.
that associate.
There hasn't actually been a dick eating scene technically.
Okay, good. That's good.
So yeah, that doesn't, that hasn't happened yet, fortunately.
Sorry if I'm starting rumors, guys, about Dom.
No, fucking from dopamine
Didn't mean
to
to,
dick
didn't
eating,
mean to.
we got you covered.
Oh God.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I had
What's next?
I had
What
a
are we
couple
doing
questions
next?
Too. What's that? Oh yes.
Well, I thought you had an over.
A couple quick over-unders. Overrated,
Okay,
underrated,
okay.
or in Scott's terms, accurately rated.
That
Scott,
can't
the
be an
Canadian
option.
American.
You guys, I asked, I can't remember what it was. Victoria and I were on our walk, our date day walk, and I asked her something. I was like, hey, do you think that this is overrated or underrated? And you know what she said? She's like, I think that's like, it's rated the way it's supposed to be. I was like, no, that's not an answer.
You threw it right back in. That is not a choice. Fucking Canadian.
Go doing that to
All right.
us.
First one is for Scott.
Accurately
Overrated
rated.
or underrated?
Accurately
Honey Crisp
rated.
apples.
Question for Scott. Accurately rated.
Final
No
answer.
matter what it is.
Final
no
answer.
matter what it is.
Final
I'll say-
answer.
Honeycrisp apples, you said?
Yes.
It's totally underrated. Caveat, you got to get them. Like, we have this farmer stand literally at the corner. They're literally the best apples I've ever had in my life. And comparatively to a grocery store Honeycrisp, that may be hit or miss. You know what I'm saying? But they're amazing. They're like the best, literally the best apples ever. So I'll say
do you cut
underrated.
them up or do you just bite into them?
We cut them up. I weighed one of these apples. Actually, shout out to Jerry, who watches the show. He suggested the farmer stand to begin with. And he
Thanks,
picked
Jerry.
up an apple that was like a pound. All right. So I've been getting these apples there that are literally like a pound. So we slice it all up, put it on a plate, and then we watch a little Dahmer and share an apple and give a couple pieces to the dogs. It's we slice them up. That's the way to go.
You let your dogs watch Dahmer?
I was going to say, you feed your dogs apples?
Yeah. Victoria got the dogs eating everything. They'll eat like broccoli if she feeds it to them.
Oh, God.
That's
All
so
right. So
funny.
now I know. You should try out putting caramel on those, by the way. Just saying.
I got to try a
Dip an
Honeycrisp apple. I don't think I've
You
ever
never had
a
one?
Honeycrisp. I've never heard of them. No, I thought it was like a candy. Like I thought you were buying like a candied apple.
No, they're very popular. So it would be easy to say overrated too, because they are a very popular apple.
There we go. All right. This one.
I have a
obvious
question.
to me, but here we go. Go.
Are Honeycrisp apples red or green?
They're red.
They're reddish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, reddish.
I'm
They're not like the
a
red
red.
that you're thinking.
I'm a red delicious guy. If I'm gonna eat an apple, like if someone, if I were to eat an apple, it'd be red delicious.
We need to change his world, don't we, Dusty?
Yeah, I'm telling you, the red delicious does not hold a candle.
You'll never eat a red delicious again.
Really?
You will. He's not even wrong. And I'm not like a huge apple guy, but that's not even a quote. They're sweet enough that you could think they have sugar in them. Like sugar added.
Right. Like you're
Yes.
like Dusty sprinkling Splenda on everything.
Yeah, pretty
Which I
much.
would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Splenda on bread and butter is good. Stop judging me. Anyways, Starbucks. Overrated?
Overrated.
And this-
I'll go with underrated just to be. I'll come up with a reason too. I'll come up with a reason. Fuck you guys.
He doesn't even care.
Scott is making this show so much better today. He's on one. I
I'm putting
love it.
myself on the line with real answers, and he's just throwing out, throwing
just
his answer
defending
out, but I
Seattle.
don't stand behind it. That's a good
I'll
way
figure
for him
out
to
why
not have
while
to
Ron
answer for
answers
his choices.
why it's overrated.
Well, I'm choosing underrated, but I'm not standing behind it whatsoever.
Well, here's
Very
this.
similar.
I like Starbucks, and the reason I like them is because they're consistent. So no matter where you go, you might get a hit. Yeah, it's always expensive, but it's always you're paying for that consistency. And no matter, like, I've gotten some shitty coffees in my day, but if I go to Starbucks, I know exactly what I'm going to get every time.
It's true.
Like a Holiday Inn Express.
True. But does it make you like a doctor? It's like a Holiday Inn Express?
Close.
Just saying.
You can meet a doctor there.
All right, so you're going with consistency, but what do you order at Starbucks? Because you said consistency, which means you always order the same thing. What do you get?
I get a Americano, like usually Americano quad shot.
Nice, good choice. I'll give you that. And Ron, why is it overrated?
People are I understand they have a great business model. They're very consistent. They have a great product. They've blah, 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 blah. I went to, I appreciate the business, but I think it's overrated. I think a lot of people are just way too brand loyal to Starbucks. Like, I've been to a lot of other great coffee places, but like some people are crazy. Like, they will spend like $8 a day at Starbucks for years, Dusty. Like, these people, they don't realize what they're doing.
Do you know what's funny about that, though, for real, is I literally had this conversation like 5 months ago. I was like, do you know that I used to go to Starbucks twice a day?
I remember you telling us
every
that.
day.
Yeah.
And get just, and the funniest part was I was just getting straight shots of espresso over ice.
Right.
So it's like,
that's good.
There's nothing to it. And you're spending $3, so $6 a day.
Yeah.
For that. And it's like, it is funny. And I also find it very interesting, especially now, like looking back, I would make those decisions when I made less money. And then as you start to do better, you're like, that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Like, why on earth would I spend that? Now we have a French press. I'm like straight old school now. She bought a French press, the best coffee on the planet. It's just coffee.
That's all I drink.
We do it on a special occasion. It's only a special occasion. We don't make a habit of it.
I have to say, I make French press coffee at home, and I just make black coffee and put a Splenda in it. That's all I ever drink.
Yep.
Right?
That's all you need.
And we even buy, like, Emily often buys the Starbucks ground coffee, like the stuff in the Starbucks bag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I love our coffee. It's awesome. And sometimes when I go to Starbucks and I just get a black coffee, I'm like, this isn't that good. I don't know what it is. I don't think their coffee's
sucks,
like
actually.
the best. I don't think it's the best
terrible.
coffee
It's over
ever.
roasted. Yeah. No,
is that what it is?
Oh yeah, it's not. If you're looking at actual coffee, and this is for somebody who spent $10 million there, their coffee sucks. Like, seriously, in the States, go to Circle K, 92 cents, great cup of coffee, good to go. I don't know what the fuck it is.
You know what I will give them credit for, though? They have a really good chocolate chunk muffin. It's delicious.
Well, I'm a big fan of the lemon loaf. It's
Yeah.
I don't know how it's
There you
worth
go.
$3 but whatever.
Yeah.
We're not getting into that. I give them so much credit though. As a business, you have to just be like, yes. You came out
there
with
was
a
a
product
spot.
that already existed in 10,000 places and then blew it up all over the world and convinced morons like me to spend $4 on shit coffee and sugar.
Yeah, it was like 90 cents before they came along anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Aren't there dozens of examples, probably tons of examples? Like in downtown Vancouver, there was 2 Starbucks kitty corner for one another.
Yep.
Like
They do it all
they
day
have
long.
like there'll be like a Starbucks on the corner, and then across the street is a mall, and in the mall there's a Starbucks. So there's like 2 Starbucks
And in both
within
places, there's a line.
or packed.
I was like,
I'm sure they've had all 3 or 4 corners somewhere. It's probably New York City, right downtown
Yep.
Manhattan. They probably have 4 in a block.
during their like big boom, like late mid 90s, I was in Seattle for a little bit, and walking down, it was like I can't remember what street it was now, but just like walking down one of the main roads, like into downtown, you literally could be at one Starbucks and see the next one down there, walking distance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
They're everywhere.
Crazy.
All right. Next option, fasted cardio.
Way overrated.
Underrated. And I'm not just joking. I'm not just saying it just to be different.
So, you sure made it look like, because you waited for him to say way overrated. You looked him dead in the eye and said underrated.
Fucking underrated, Ron.
Ron is wrong.
No, that's so fasted cardio is great. I know people that really love doing their cardio in the morning. It like changes their day. Like, and I imagine just exercise first thing in the morning is good for you anyways, with your, you know, how you're going to feel, sets your mood up, all that stuff, motivation, all that stuff. So yeah, morning cardio is really, really awesome for some people. But I don't actually believe it really makes that. I just don't think it makes a difference. I think it's important that you do your cardio. I think there's a couple of times that are good ideas to do your cardio and a couple of times that are bad ideas to do it. But I don't think that it's the type of thing where you must do it even if you work at, like, some people work at 6 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
They get up at 4 to do fasted cardio. And I'm like, I just think that's ridiculous.
Or they train first thing, you know?
Yeah, they train first thing. Like, it's hard. But I don't think you have to do it. Some of my very best years, I didn't do a single minute fasted cardio. It was all just done elsewhere.
So a lot of my cardio was just walking my dog or like walking around the neighborhood. And I'm totally in agreement with that. But the reason I think it is underrated is because now I have people coming to me, and I hear it all the time now, that people think like cardio is just walking. People think like, well, I got my steps in. And I think that getting your, like, I don't really do cardio. I just get my steps in. And getting your steps in is different than like walking on incline at 3.5 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? And so,
yeah, squeezing your glutes. And
it's different. And I think that, so cardio in general, I think is really underrated at this particular point. I mean, I did a video like in 2016 or so, and I was walking my dog, and I was like, hey guys, this is my cardio. I'm literally walking my dog, you know, give it a chance to get my dog out of the house. I don't have to be in the gym, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, people weren't really doing that. Now everybody's doing that, and they're like, oh, you don't have to step on a treadmill ever. And there is a point, like I would do all my cardio walking outside, but at a certain point, I needed to start adding some on the treadmill, you know, to be able to get the heart rate up and stuff, and be able to, and I did see a difference, and I do see a difference with clients too. So, and I do think that for all the reasons you said, Ron, I like fasted, you know, I don't think it's a mandatory thing, but like for me, at least, it like sets my day and stuff, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm a fan.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's not that it's magically better for losing body fat. It's literally, I feel the same way. Like, I bought a treadmill over the weekend just because it's easier to wake up, do the cardio, and then I'm awake. You know, especially because, Ron, I told you I've been doing that 36 milligrams of melatonin before bed every night. It takes like an hour to get going. I'm also taking 2 scoops of SupportMAX, but whatever. We won't discuss that.
I got to talk to you about that melatonin, because that's a plan I'm trying to get on. I got to talk to you about that.
It's awesome. But I mean, it literally, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, my eyes are open. I'm not actually tired, but I got to drag my ass down the stairs and get moving. So the treadmill definitely gets the day cranking. But what I think is funny is it does fall into that realm to me of those bodybuilding things that scientifically don't make sense. Like, you can't argue that you burn the calories, but I swear, just like I swear that fish versus chicken, I look a little different when I crank away fasted cardio. So it's one of those deals. And I definitely agree with you, Scott, that the steps thing drives me crazy. Oh, just walk around your house. You out of your fucking mind? Like, I would be on the incline and like cranking steps, like squeezing that back leg, hamstring, and glute every fucking step. Like, it probably looked hysterical to watch me walk because there was so much focus on what was moving. I think I was pushing the belt more than it was pushing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's another thing you can do. You can actually get on one without turning the belt on if you want to really get a workout. Okay, now let's get into some important things. Crumble cookie.
Okay. What's
Ron
crumble
might know what
cookie?
crumble cookie is.
I don't either. But I'll definitely say underrated, because I like all cookies.
It is a cookie place.
Oh.
That weekly releases. Pull it up.
I will.
Scott, get emotional. Every week they release a certain amount of cookies, and it is emotional. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not like, I just need a chocolate chip cookie, so it's overrated to me. But
they have one they have one by me, actually.
Look at that.
I mean, that's a shitty picture, but they still look delicious.
Yeah. So they have a different variety every week. It's very popular in my house, but I consider it overrated.
Look at that cookie, Ron. Does that look delicious to you?
It does. I'm not fooled by a cookie just looking great. There's a lot of
women do that.
There's a lot of cookies out there that look great. Are
we still talking about cookies?
You can dress a cookie up. It doesn't fool me.
All right, here we go. This is a good one for the timing. Seasonal movies. I changed it from Halloween to seasonal movies because I want to know all of them. Because Halloween movies is one thing, but you guys gotta go straight in. Christmas, Halloween, all of it. Overrated, underrated. Go. I'm
gonna say, I know I'm almost always the bearer of hate and vitriol, and I overrate everything. I'm gonna say holiday movies are underrated. How's that? Underrated. I regret. This is my one regret in life. I live a life
one regret, and it relates to a movie.
One of my only regrets is that I have not put more emphasis on like choosing a holiday related movie to watch for the event. I think of all the Christmases I watched, like non-Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And when you watch it, it's so much funner when you watch Die Hard.
Yeah.
True. Valid.
A true Christmas movie.
The truest.
No, I appreciate holiday related movie now. Like, I'm gonna make Emily sit and watch a Halloween movie with me. I'm gonna say, we got to pick something. I don't care what you pick. Nightmare on Elm Street if you want, but we're watching a Halloween related movie.
That's a good one too. Like the original.
It's fun.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna. You know what? I'll side with Ron on this one.
What?
Unbelievable.
I've got a soft place in my heart I'm sentimental, the holiday movies, they just bring all that back every time you turn them on. So that said, I haven't watched a holiday movie in a really long, or any movie really in a while. So, but I like that idea. Like, I like the idea of like, we're going to watch that holiday movie. We're going to you say that, Ron, about the Halloween movie, and I'm like, fuck yeah, we're going to do that. It's not really going to happen, but I'm thinking right now, I'm like, yeah, we're totally going to do that.
So you're going to present. So you got a lot of firsts coming up though, Scott. Like, you have your first Halloween as a married couple now.
That's true.
And then you have a first Thanksgiving. Well, I guess you already had one in Canada. You have the first Christmas. You got a lot of things, or Hanukkah, whatever bullshit you go with. So you got to figure out this stuff. You got to decide, like, you got to bring up Elf or what you're going to do.
You're right. We don't.
Here's my advice.
Yeah.
Here's my advice. When you're picking a holiday movie, whether it be Halloween or maybe it's Thanksgiving, and you're choosing from the array of Thanksgiving movies, Die Hard 2 would be my suggestion. You have to commit. You can't just sit down and flip through Netflix, because you'll waste 90 minutes.
I fucking hate that.
Decide. Before you even start.
We're in the Christmas movie section, and and you're dancing around, and we all know what happens. Nothing gets watched. So you decide beforehand. Maybe you look at another day, like a week out, you look, and you're like, okay, we're going to watch 4 Christmases and Bad Santa. Those are the 2 we're watching. We're committed. By the way.
You decide ahead.
Committed.
You decide ahead.
Yeah.
I like that.
Committed. Yeah.
Now, you guys don't do Halloween like we do here, I think, Ron. You may not know that. This is what I've learned, because we walk the dogs. People decorate a lot for Halloween here. And also, too, we start a lot earlier, because you guys have Thanksgiving, then Halloween. We have Halloween, then Thanksgiving. So, like, we started decorating for Halloween, weeks, like in September,
It's like our Thanksgiving. We don't really decorate for Thanksgiving. We just go straight to Halloween when October starts. So October 1st hits, all the stores are full of Halloween candy, and there's Halloween stuff going up. And then Thanksgiving just happens on October 11th. And everyone eats a turkey. But
which is a
no one
great
really
way
puts,
to do it.
but no one really puts they've got pumpkins out.
Yeah,
Maybe they're not carved yet. They're just pumpkins. And then after Thanksgiving, the pumpkins get carved. You know, like that's the only change. It's like the exact same decor on the front yard. It's just
that's got a light in it.
Yeah, this once Thanksgiving's over, everything just gets cut up. You know, you add the skeletons. Yeah, that's all.
Makes sense.
I had this video. I shot it because I was like, I might show this to the guys at some point, and it never happened. This was like 2 weeks ago, but it finally fits. We have these people. I wanted to get your opinions on this. They go so over the top with Halloween. They're like one neighborhood over from us, and they have all these like figures in their yard, and they make noise, and you can hear it literally from a block away. And I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, I've got videos. I'm going to show this to you. Let me see if this will work. If I just pull this in. Come on, shit. Actually, you'll have to give me a minute because I have to download them. Just give me a minute here. And,
you have a minute.
I can keep there's always don't worry. Every city has that one area where people really go all out. You know, on their Christmas decorations or their Halloween or whatever. And there's always that one house on the block that everyone's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, he's drawing so much power from the grid, you know, other people's lights to, you know, Clark Griswold,
flickering at night.
All right, so
everyone's lights are dimming.
So here's from across the street, first of all. So that's the neighborhood, and that's the house.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's got like a whole yard full of shit.
Keep that shit the rest of the year.
I wonder, they have to have like some type of a storage unit or something. I've got a close-up video as well. Let me see if I can pull that one up. All right, here's the close-up video.
Where the fuck do you put all that shit?
I mean, there's a lot of shit.
I mean, they don't even have like a big-ass house, so it's like, where does that shit go?
Now, I talked to the lady, too, and she was like, because she was outside smoking a cigarette one day, and she was like...
Of course she was.
Yeah, she was like, oh, yeah, so we just started taking everything down in the house right now. You know, we take everything out, including the shower curtain. We do the whole inside of the house, too. So here's the close-up of their yard.
What the fuck?
And a lot of these things move, all right? And you hear that sound? Could you imagine, like, a nice autumn evening, you got your windows open, living next door?
These fuckers are crazy.
Yeah.
If anyone dies, I know who did it.
Yeah, right?
This lady smoking cigarettes in her front fucking yard.
That guy moves. Yeah.
What the fuck?
It just keeps going and going.
Heads on the grill.
Yeah. And then the whole backyard is all set up, too. Like, I'm in their yard now.
This is crazy.
It's nuts.
Like, obviously, you know, I've been to, like, haunted house scenarios where there's a crazy setup, but this is just some dude's yard. This is the type of thing you see in, like, you know, that's a lot of work. Jesus, like,
that's all I see when I see that. Like,
a lot of work.
A lot of work, and where's all that shit go?
Yeah.
It just probably took them, like, 2 days to put that shit out there.
More than that.
It's all fun and games.
There are hundreds of fucking...
So, did you notice the theme, Scott? Like, do they have all the, like, the famous movie franchises covered? Like, is there a Jason there? Is there a Freddy there? Or are they kind of generic, all ghosts and goblins? And
you'll see them in, like they had the clown from American Horror Story is in there somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him in the clown there's like a clown section, you know? And then there's like what I was waiting for,
walking around Macy's.
In the clown section, aisle 5.
I was waiting for one of them to be like a real person that's like gonna jump out at you. You know what I mean?
Right. We got the clown section over here. We have the actual serial killer section here.
Yeah.
We have the movie villain here. Yeah. That's good. Genre.
You have to ask her where she puts that shit. I gotta know.
I bet they have a storage shed or, you know, some sort of storage locker somewhere. They have to. Like, that's commitment.
Huge, though.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
No.
But yeah, that's the most I've ever seen. That's the most I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's like the craziest Halloween yard I've ever seen either. You know?
I actually have one down the road from here that I was going to mention.
Yeah.
And now I'm just mentioning it to say that I'm not going to mention it. because it ain't fucking that. Like, I thought these people were crazy down here, and they have like 6 things in their yard. And I was like, geez, over the top much?
Yeah.
Oh. I think I have 600. Okay.
But yeah, all I could think of is if like I live next door or across the street. It's like, oh, the air's cooling down. Let's like, crank open the windows and like enjoy the breeze tonight.
And the screaming.
Well, yeah. Another thing too that I guess like, I don't know, I'm just thinking of it from a nuisance standpoint, but I could see like Christmas stuff, in Canada. So let's say you live in Calgary in December.
Yeah.
You can put stuff in your yard and it might get snowed on, but that's fine because everything's frozen. You just brush the snow off it and put it back in the box. But what if it rains on that guy's yard for like 3 days straight? Like, is all that shit just
it's all
like how much of it's, I don't know. Like, is it rain safe? Like, does he have it all waterproofed and shit? Because there might have been a ton of work to go in to make that all like just be out in the elements for an entire month like that.
Yeah.
It's
the questions we just don't know. I'm not gonna ask. I'm just
the things that they're doing.
You have to get that lady on the podcast.
Yes, I gotta know.
She's gonna be just sitting there smoking like the lady in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Well, we got a storage shed. Thelma. I just envision her sitting on the front lawn with a cigarette. Yeah, it takes a couple of days to set it all up, but the kids love it.
God. Yeah, she ain't got no serotonin levels at night.
No.
She's riding too high.
It's all dopamine.
Everyone visiting her house, the dopamine levels are through the roof for her all month.
Look at my fucking yard. Yeah. I get the best yard.
I love that you just made her from Boston also, even though it's in Detroit.
Yeah.
It fits.
That's her attitude, right? She moved to Detroit from Boston and she's like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna have the best yard. Yeah.
I like built this character. You vision the same person as me.
Me too. I was right there with you.
Out front smoking. Ron and I saw the same person in our head. Like, ding! She's out there. She's absolutely in one of those like giant shirts that just hangs all the way down a moo type thing.
I was right there with you, and I saw her, and I still liked Ron's version better.
Oh, I'm right. I'm right. Oh, I don't even care if it is right. It is right. Even if it's wrong, it's right.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy that sort of, creation of her in my mind. We've all had some interesting neighbors. So is that right across the street from your house? Like,
no, thank God it's like it's like a neighborhood over. So we have to neighborhood over. Yeah, it's a 10-minute walk or so, something like that. Thankfully.
So here's another thing: is her house like really well known? Like, do they talk about her on the radio and stuff like that?
I don't know, but people pull up there. Like you'll see kids and stuff walking around, cars parked or like driving by slow. It's a very popular little intersection. She's right at a corner too, so I think that helps. A lot of visibility from two sides.
I know a lot of places, like back where I'm from in Edmonton, there was a street that was known for being like the Christmas decoration street.
Yes.
And I guess everyone that lives on that street sort of came together and all agreed to do this crazy amount of decorations. So they would talk about it on the radio. Like, they'd hear the DJs go, it took the kids down. I can't remember what we called it, but Candy Cane Lane or something like that. We went for a drive last night, to Candy Cane Lane. And like that street gets busy at Christmas time. Like it's a residential neighborhood, but at nighttime, there'll just be a nonstop flow of cars through that neighborhood. Every night for like a few weeks before Christmas. And you go to that neighborhood and it's like you're doing 10 miles an hour down the street, just everyone looking at houses. And so it's like, it's cool, but I imagine it's a bit of a nuisance to live in that neighborhood sometimes.
On so many levels.
I just want to get to the fucking gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be me. I'd be like, oh shit, I forgot milk. It ain't worth it. It's 45 minutes to get the milk.
Yeah.
It's a quarter mile away
I
from
can't
here.
even back out of my driveway. Yeah.
Brutal.
So what are you going to do then? If you're going to watch a Halloween movie, what are you going to watch? Honestly, what if you had to pick a Halloween? I think I told you guys last year, Emily and I watched Alien.
Oh, you did?
Technically a horror movie, right? So we watched Alien, but we're going to go with something more traditional this year. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think.
You really got me thinking on that Nightmare on Elm Street. That was the first one was a really good movie.
It'd be interesting to see how bad it is now.
Oh, it's terrible. You know,
like, is it campy as shit?
Yeah, like super fake and stuff. You know, but it is what that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
What about the early?
Still hold up.
What about the Friday the 13th, like part 3?
The first couple, if you're going to do that, well, the first 4, like, hold up as actual horror movies, I think.
Yeah.
And then they just get kind of ridiculous. You know, well, kind of ridiculous. They're already ridiculous. And I think the first one still holds up really well because that was more of a traditional horror movie. Like, there was no Jason mask. There was no hockey mask in the first one. People forget that.
Yeah.
You know, the first one was kind of a, trailblazer of a movie. So I remember the first time I saw the first Friday the 13th, I was just like scared shitless. But the movie that scared me as a kid the most was The Shining. We've talked about that.
Me too.
Yeah.
So the original Shining.
That was a classic.
That was the movie that scared me the most.
That's one I'd like to see again. That was Stanley Kubrick. He was amazing.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stories about that. We've talked about that before. There's a lot of cool stories about when they made that movie. They almost drove that actress insane.
That's awesome to me.
Yeah. What about you, Dusty? You got to pick one.
I just pulled up Halloween movies just to see like what they had listed.
Yeah.
And it made me think of because of course they pull up like slasher movies as well. Like, do you remember Child's Play?
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
That was a great old one,
Creepy as fuck.
Oh, absolutely. Something about that was just phenomenal. Then some of them they have listed, I don't fucking follow how they have The Crow listed. I'm like, huh? How? Great movie, but you missed the boat on that one. But Halloween Ends is one that they're pushing this year.
Yes. I see Jamie Lee Curtis, is in it, so they've wrapped it up.
After
I'm wondering if it would
years?
be. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's been over 40, hasn't it? 40 some years.
I was trying to think of when the original Halloween was. Yeah, fucking classic.
I don't know what year it was.
But
there's a lot of options.
There's the 40 classic Halloween movies to watch. They even have them listed in order if you're unsure, Scott.
Right.
So,
but some of them are like, like they've got Donnie Darko listed here and, Beetlejuice, stuff like that. So there's a bunch of Halloween movies that aren't necessarily scary, Yeah.
The Omen.
It was a good one.
A thriller from 1976.
Yeah.
The older ones were freakier, I think, because the the cinematography being weaker makes it more like it hits better. It's kind of like, do you remember when what was it called? Blair Witch Project came out and the rumor was that it was true?
Yes.
That was amazing.
For like the first week, everybody thought it was real,
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember watching that and getting car sick.
Oh, I heard of people that happening. Yeah, I heard of that happening to people.
Yeah, because there's just that shaky camera, just you're watching it on the big screen and you're like, oh my god.
I remember
going to
I was such a dick. My girlfriend and I went to see that movie, and my parents had just moved into this new house, and it was kind of like it's in the woods. It was like a wooded lot, and the house is empty, right? And I went downstairs, like the house is empty. I went down in the basement. Do you remember like there'd be somebody like standing in the corner facing the other direction? Do you remember that at all? So I went and stood. There's like one light, and I turned it on in the middle of the basement. I went running over in the corner, and I stood in the corner. I was like, "Hey, Colleen, come here." I just stood there like that right after, like we literally just got back from that movie.
And she still bit on that. See, I would have needed a little time to loosen it up first before that would work. I'd have brought Ron into the play and be like, I need you to stand in the corner in my basement. Don't worry about it. Just do this for me. We're gonna walk down together. You're gonna love this.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, those are the end of our over-unders for this week, and you guys went out with a bang. I didn't have to cover half.
Oh, we did all right. We did all right.
I thought you did good.
You know,
you guys even agreed on one, Scott. Good job, buddy.
Is it the first time?
I like. No, it's just Ron. This is the first time that Scott actually chose a side. I think once Victoria tried to pull that shit with him, he understood that accurately rated doesn't work.
No, I was really that was very upsetting.
Fucking, you know,
I almost ended the date day.
Straight answers.
I almost ended the date day right there.
I'm out of here. I'm gonna go watch Dahmer. Go figure out your apples on your own. Shit.
I'm watching Dahmer. You can just sit here and yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, Dusty, I guess I will see you in Dubai sometime Thursday.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Crawling over Thursday, half dead. It'll be amazing.
We're going to go to Binus Gym and train, I guess. Go hit a workout. So, Dusty, I need you to promise me that you're going to make sure that we have fun to make up for my last trip.
That's without a question. We find a way to have good times, and this gym will be a very memorable one. I can sense it. You know, with us going there. Plus, I've asked for some people to join us to get some good videos, so we can actually get some this time. So,
okay,
yeah. From
just from the team, I was like, we need.
I just told George, like, we got to have someone come. Same thing like when we go just eat dinners and shit. Like, a lot of fun stuff happens that we can never share. And then we get back and everyone's like, "Oh, did you have fun?" I'm like, "Oh, awesome." They're like, "Oh, did you have pictures?" I'm like, "Well, no,
me and Dusty didn't take a single picture together." No.
Yeah, you guys we need pictures. I know you guys sent me one picture. And it was like from the hotel room. And I was like, they totally fucking forgot. And they're like, oh shit, we didn't get any pictures.
No, that was literally, that was like an hour and a half before I caught my flight for real.
It was like 4 a.m.
I could tell. It worked. We made it work. But I was like, I know they're like, holy shit, we didn't get any pictures. Well, let's fucking take one now.
True story, Scott. Ron had the shirts that were given to us. He brought them up, handed them to me. I closed the door. And he knocked again and said, 1 second, and took a picture. I was like,
I did.
Oh yeah, that
sounds about right. That's what I figured. Yeah. We made it work though. It looked good.
I know. Well, we took pictures in LA in like May.
You did.
So I mean, why would we need another picture together? I mean, why would you need
both look the same.
Any more than that? There you go. Okay.
This trip.
Thanks, everybody. Are we going to wrap this up? Are we wrapping?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Questions for the next show.
Dusty20, Big Ron20 on IamMutant.com. For God's sakes, order some Mutant. And we'll see how that maps. And yes, questions for the next show. Put your questions on YouTube. They're a lot more likely to get answered on the question and on the YouTube question episodes that we do. And, keep watching, spreading the word. Anything to add, Scott? You look like you had something on your mind.
No, I just was looking at the marijuana laws in the United Arab Emirates. And if this is the last show, guys, this has been a really good podcast, and I've appreciated being able to work with both of you.
The end.
The end. Yeah. No, it's gonna be a rough week. We'll see what happens. Maybe you can. How fast can you get a prescription for those Marinol pills, Dusty?
There we go. That's the big question.
There you go.
I can probably do it very fast.
And I think they're. As I remember someone I know who's like a huge weed head. I said, "Hey, have you ever taken one of those Marinols?" And they go, "Oh God, no! I hate those.
Huh?
I hate them. They're way too strong."
Oh,
and I was like,
"Oh shit!"
I was like, "Oh."
From someone who's way over the top. Like, really? So do you have any left over that you still hate? Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, you're right. The laws there are not favorable to people trying to misbehave. So I have a rule about when I'm in the Middle East. I follow all the laws, Scott.
Good, thank you.
Every single one of them.
It's a good idea. It's a real fucking good idea.
Yeah, I'm a pretty seasoned traveler, and I know that there's this thing called fuck around and find out. And when you fuck around, you often find out. And so Dusty and I are going to be awake a lot, and we're probably going to eat a lot of food because we'll have nothing to do with all our time that we're going to be awake.
It'll be such good food, though. I bet there'll be some awesome food
the
there.
Path of righteousness the whole time. That's it.
Yes, we're going to deprive ourselves of dopamine while we're in Dubai.
By lack of choice.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again. Remember, it's just bodybuilding.
Cool.
That was good, Scott. I looked up the laws, and I got to tell you, it's been
Before
a good
y'all
podcast.
hang up this phone.
All right, I'll see you guys. You guys travel safe.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, bye.